Hey, years ago, the story started going around. I think it first got noticed because it was in Missy Hyatt's book. Did you ever hear Ric Flair actually say no hair, no flair?
Well,
I'm not doubting Missy Hyatt's story. I'm just curious if you heard it also.
well, I guess he wasn't married to the lovely Fifi at that point. So of course, yes, I've heard. There's not a lot of people that haven't heard him say that.
No, but was that a big issue that he had to announce that everywhere? I mean,
well, it would just come up in conversation when either in recounting episodes of things that had happened, or in discussing and or interviewing people for things that might take place.
If he was interviewing someone for things that might take place, he said, by the way, no hair, no flair?
Well, I wasn't there during those interviews. I was on the other side of it when I was hearing the accounting afterwards, but I know it was a positive. It was a positive.
When it comes to Nature Boy catchphrases, what did you hear more? No hair, no flair, or no snow, no bud roll?
No, Buddy was, if it don't snow, we can't go.
That's right.
Yeah, if it don't snow, we can't go. Actually, I heard that more probably from Buddy than I did the other thing from Flair. Flair had more catchphrases. Buddy was sticking with that, and that's right. I said it.
That's right. That was
right.
His other one. That's right.
Oh, God. I've got an update for you, as a matter of fact. You history buff. There was no a new episode of Young Rock this week. I actually didn't know that until I realized that I didn't see it on a DVR, and then I looked, next week's episode is episode 4. So we just saw 3. So they must have skipped a week. Something happened. So we're going to talk about that next week. But one of the reviews, I can't remember which with the flea market wrestling show was episode 2, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, and you've got a lot of it. You got a lot of issues anyway. Matter of fact, you don't have issues. You got subscriptions. But you got issues with the historical inaccuracies taking place with Young Rock. But here's somebody else came at it from another standpoint. This is from Phil. He doesn't say where. I thought that's something else. I thought it was from Phil in Philadelphia. Phil, anyway. Hi, Jim. I'm writing to tell you about something I saw in episode 3 of Young Rock that just really bugged me. If you recall the scene at the flea market wrestling show, a woman tries to sell The Rock's date a vintage Gwar t-shirt. Now, besides telling bad jokes, the 2 things my friends all know about me is I love old school wrestling and the band Gwar. This episode took place in 1987. Their first album came out in 1988. I can buy the Junkyard Dog, Iron Sheik, and Andre the Giant being in Hawaii, but there's only so much I can suspend my disbelief. So another inaccuracy has been pointed. I think they ought to be taken off the air over this. Fucking Gwar t-shirt in 1987 when their first album didn't come out till 1988.
And by the way, on the top,
bullshit.
We talked about how ridiculous it was at that point in time thinking that Rocky Johnson was working a show like that in a flea market, an outdoor flea market.
Yeah, or that a show actually took place in between the booths in the same aisleway. But nevertheless.
I actually heard from someone who corrected me. Dan Farron, the late Dan Farron. We call him that because Mike Lano twice on the radio announced that he died, and he's alive and well in California, a great guy. But the late Dan Farron told me I forgot about California Championship Wrestling, where he actually indeed saw Rocky Johnson wrestle at a show just like that.
Oh, no.
You remember that. It was the worst wrestling television show of the 80s, probably. California Championship Wrestling.
Well, but I didn't know Rocky Johnson wrestled for him.
Yeah, a lot of those guys. Jimmy Snuka was there for a while. They had the fake Jay Strongbow. The only good thing, they had Tux Newman. They had Jeff Walton as Tux Newman, and he was actually really good as a manager.
Yeah, but you know what? All respect to Jeff Walton, but that's probably the only time somebody ever said the only good thing about it was Tux Newman.
You may be right, but he was the highlight there, but it was one of the worst wrestling shows ever.
But here's a question for you, Brian. Who the fuck is Gwar?
Oh, come on. You don't know
what?
Gwar?
I don't know Gwar. As an 80s band, GWAR, I've never heard of GWAR.
I never think of them as an 80s band, to be honest with you. I think of them as a 90s band. And when I did see that episode...
That may be why.
When I did see that episode, I did think, were they around then? But, the email just addressed that. I don't know how to describe GWAR. They all wear outfits. They have a heck of a little stage show. They have creatures on the stage that eat people. I don't even know how to describe GWAR.
So you're saying Twinkle Toes McFingerbang's favorite Japanese wrestling promotions.
It's kind of like that, I guess, in a sense. Like, it's kind of like one of those goofy Japanese wrestling promotions that, there's like a giant... I saw one where it was like a giant guy in, I think it was like a giant sumo outfit or something. Like an inflatable one. So it was like 15 feet tall. And it was ridiculous. It's kind of like that. It's a little stage show, but they actually have songs and music. And
oh, the band actually has songs.
They actually play music, yeah. But I don't know how else to describe it. It's not necessarily my cup of tea. So
I'm going to get a bunch of jolly jokers on fucking Twitter going, here's GWAR for that 5,000 tweets tomorrow.
I'm sure.
Here they are.
I'm sure you're going to love it. That happened just recently with Danhausen. Now, nonstop, people are sending me Danhausen clips.
Have you become a Fanhausen?
I kind of, what sold me on him? Because we always point out, like, oh, this is so stupid. Why does Orange Cassidy act like this? Why are all these people in wrestling stupid? Why are they idiots? Why do they act like children? Whatever it is. He gave an explanation.
Yeah.
I talk like this and I act like this because I want to make the money and I want to get on TV. I'm like, you know what? That's plausible. I get it.
And also a rocket car.
A rocket car and a house made of solid gold.
See, I don't want to see him wrestle now. Because I'm afraid I'll be let down or disappointed. I just want to watch his promo.
I saw a match of his the other day because I had to watch one. I just wanted to know how he works. And he's all right. Can't really complain. He's a little slim. But, hey, isn't everyone in modern wrestling? But I saw him against that guy, Brian Johnson, the guy we heard in Ring of Honor do that promo about him, like being an embarrassment to the business and everything. So I watched their match. There was one spot. It's so stupid. You probably would have hated it, but I cracked up. Brian Johnson stuffs Danhausen into the apron. So now he's like somewhere either under the ring or just under the apron. And he's on he's standing on the apron, and he's, Brian Johnson.
Okay, too many pronouns, pal.
I don't know Brian Johnson standing on the apron, but he tucked Danhausen into the apron.
Into the apron or the apron skirt around the ring?
The apron skirt, excuse me.
Okay. So he's tucked in the apron skirt,
so
in between the apron skirt and the ring.
So he's celebrating the fact that he got rid of Danhausen like this on the ring apron. And all of a sudden, Danhausen's head pops up, just his head, through the skirt. And he just looks at Brian Johnson. He's just like, ah! He just makes this noise. And Brian Johnson's infuriated. He just goes to kick him and he misses and the match continues. But I can't even describe how stupid this spot was. And I laughed for at least 15 minutes straight. And I watched it over and over again. There's been a lot of that in wrestling lately, where something is just so silly. And this isn't as bad as some of the other stuff. And it just cracked me up, and I watched it over and over.
You're getting some Stockholm syndrome.
I'll tell you. Wait until we get to Dynamite.
You are so... as Austin Idol used to say, instead of you women are so starved for the sight of a real man... You're so starved for the sight of a real match that you're just going giddy now. They've burnt you. They've burnt you.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm evil. And I'm with a rocket car.
Yes. I like what he calls you, Jim Cronin.
Jim Cronin. And I am a millionaire. I own a mansion and a yacht. Oh, that's Tony Khan. Anyway.
Hey, by the way, it's his dad's mansion and yacht. It's not his.
I bet you his name may be on it,
Maybe, but he didn't earn it.